It's becoming a real base for Bitcoin companies and Bitcoiners to come in now, which is surprising that other states haven't recognized what is happening here.
Yeah, I think people are starting to catch on, right?
Janet Yellen. All right, it was a bit of a shitcoiny statement. It was cryptocurrency, not Bitcoin, but to see her shift,
I don't know if I trust that.
Oh, I don't trust any of them.
Yeah.
I know everything is self-interest.
Yeah.
Right? But Bitcoin is one of the ultimate self-interest tools.
Sure.
So fuck it, we'll take it.
But yeah, like what you said in politics, it's almost becoming untenable to be anti-Bitcoin. Like, Warren's going to do Warren things and she can have fun with that. But like Western Democrats, energy producing states, like they're going to want this too. I mean, this is real jobs. I'm not sure if you saw the presentation the guy did from the campus up in Rockdale, the old Alcoa plant.
When was this?
This was on Friday.
Oh, yeah, no, I was you had to leave. Were you there?
Yes, I was, but I missed that.
Okay, yeah. So he was talking about, this is going to be 400 jobs in the next year for this data, for the Bitcoin mine. It's like 4 different data centers. They're doing everything from like air cooling to submersion, all this, but it's 400 jobs, and they're not low paying jobs. They're really good jobs, and like that's what motivates politicians. And if you think like politicians in Nevada aren't going to catch on to that, and they have energy to spare, of course they're going to.
Again, if you think about game theory of Bitcoin, and you want Bitcoin to be a success, the most important country in the world to accept it and adopt it is the US, because a lot of countries follow lead.
Yeah. It's very counterintuitive though, right? Because we kind of had the best money for a long time, but yet we're the most motivated to replace that. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it depends where you talk about where the motivation comes from. I'm a firm believer in that we're in a transitional shift between America and China, which is being fought on a currency front.
Sure.
And the way America can defend itself as a decentralized nation, the republic is decentralized, is with a decentralized currency. Now, it's counterintuitive to politicians who like control.
Yeah.
But actually, a decentralized currency is what will give this country strength going forward.
Yeah. I mean, we have 50 sovereigns that make up the United States. And I think most people don't recognize how important like state sovereignty in the United States is. Like when we met in Wyoming, we were passing all those bills, the Wyoming Blockchain Task Force. When we'd start drafting these, and when Chris Land's writing them, we would have conversations with the federal entities, with FinCEN, with the FDIC, and they'd all try to scare us. They'd be like, "Oh, you don't want to do that. Just slow down a little bit. Wait 2 years. We haven't figured out what we're going to do yet." And I give Tyler Lindholm a lot of credit. He just said, "Fuck it, we're doing it." He didn't wait for anyone. He didn't wait for the, blockchain association or, coin, whatever. They just did it on their own. And then once we did, all those same people came back and were like, "Good luck. You got 2 years. Everyone's going to copy you." And we're like, "Oh, you're not mad?" And they're like, "How could we be mad? You're a fucking state. You can do whatever you want." Right. And
I love Tyler.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And he did a great job with that. I had very little to do with it, but at the same time, it's like the state sovereignty is such a big deal. And of course, states can't print their own money. They're at a disadvantage from other sovereigns because they can't print money, but they can take an interest in Bitcoin. Wyoming, Alaska, New Mexico, they have sovereign wealth funds. They can buy Bitcoin with that. We're trying to get them to, right? And they can, flex their sovereign muscles in the United States, which is difficult to do in other places, right? Especially if you're in the EU and you're on the euro, like you're in big trouble.
Wow, that was one of the things I'm thankful about with the UK is we didn't.
Yeah, at least you had your own money.
Yeah, well, we had a referendum and we said no, which was a smart decision. Now we've actually left the EU, which there are arguments for and against. I recognize both.
I don't. I don't recognize both. Good on them.
My role is to recognize everyone's opinion and allow everyone to have an opinion, from the anarcho-capitalists to the communists.
I was very surprised when I was younger visiting the UK. I thought I would find, my my Texas brothers in Scotland. Was not the case.
No, you won't.
It's more Ireland.
Yeah. West coast of Ireland, you'll probably find a little bit more. But yeah, no, you won't find that. But we don't have. I think this is there's a couple of things. It's that cultural establishment of the United States.
Yeah.
How it was birthed, but the fact that it's a republic.
Yeah.
We don't have. God, I piss people off because I talk about this so much, but we don't have the ability to move somewhere else if we don't like the rules.
Sure.
Unless we leave the country. But that doesn't really work. People can't just leave the country. You can't just. I mean, you can.
Yeah, but you can drive to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, we saw it. How many people left New York for Miami? How many people left California for Texas?
Yeah.
We know it happened. But we don't really have that. Like, I'm in Bedford. If I go to Manchester, it's the same. If I go to London, it's the same. It's the same rules, same set of rules.
We had it more in the EU, to be fair.
We did. That is a fair point. But they try to harmonize the rules across the EU. You know, that like.
And then you have to speak Italian.
That's true.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Italy is the best place in Europe.
Is it?
Outside of Bedford, it's the best place.
I've been to like Rome as a tourist. I don't really know.
I mean, Rome's awesome just because it's like a giant museum.
Sure.
The whole city's a museum. But it's a great country because they've been very good at maintaining their Italian culture.
Yeah.
You go to somewhere like Florence, you're not going to go for a McDonald's.
Sure.
You know, you're going to
Hasn't been Americanized.
hasn't been Americanized. Yeah. But Danny does make a good point. But there was things. I mean, I'm out of my depth here. Danny can probably look this up. But I'm pretty sure that like a perfect example of what's wrong with the EU was Ireland was given advantageous tax positions to Silicon Valley tech
Yes.
giants. So LinkedIn went there, Facebook went there,
Apple was there.
everyone
Yeah.
went there, but they ended up getting fined. It was something like 9 billion. No, the companies got fined something like 9 billion, or Apple got fined multiple billions, but the fine was to be paid to the Irish government,
Yeah.
and the Irish government didn't want the fine, even though it's huge, because they wanted to give those tax advantages.
Yeah.
Now, surely the best thing to do is to allow every single nation to establish its own tax rules, so you have competition. That's what would make sense, but they didn't allow it. Can you look that up?
Yeah, I think that was actually overturned. I think they didn't have to pay it in the end.
Huh. I mean, I knew about the
was 13
domiciling.
13 billion. Was it Apple?
Yeah, Apple.
Yeah.
But it was overturned by the looks of it.
Okay, interesting.
And then Trump passed some law to let them redomicile some of that money to get it back, in the U.S., like a tax, holiday type thing. Yeah.
So the Irish are just allowed to have a different set of tax rules.
Well, it was a 2016 rule that meant Apple had to pay 13 billion, but in 2020 it was overruled.
It's funny because Ireland could do with that money.
Well, the weirdest thing that happens in Europe, I think, I've told this story, so maybe I'm just wrong on this. Maybe I'm just going to lie to all your listeners here, but my understanding of it is Switzerland, who does have their own currency,
And guns.
and guns. I think it's like compulsory to own guns in
don't know
Finland
about
and
that.
Switzerland. Yeah. But anyway, they do this really weird thing, which is, they have the power of the printing press and a currency that has at least some demand in the world. It's a decent enough currency, and they print francs and buy U.S. equities for free. And I think about this all the time. When I think about like in games for Bitcoin of like, how do nation states, adopt it, and all these different things. I look at what Switzerland does, where they print francs, and they're smart enough not to do this in like an egregious fashion of like, take over, a U.S. company or anything, but they own U.S. equities by just printing their own money. And I was thinking that might be the end game for Bitcoin, is one of the big 5 currencies of someone
Why would you not?
giving it. I mean, it's the last hope. But like when I talk to the people in Wyoming, it's like, well, you're sovereign, but you can't do that, right? So you have to get in before someone does that, right?
Someone explained something similar to me recently. They said the US has the ability to print oil,
What do you mean by that?
and then they can print dollars and buy oil.
Yeah, basically.
So they can print oil.
Yeah.
No other country can really do that because it was the petrodollar.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah.
The only other country that was close that could do that would be Russia, but their currency shit. So
Well, it's had a resurgence this last week when they came out. They said, what was it? Unfriendly nations now have to buy our natural resources with the ruble.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
What a shit show that is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but going back to like that point of like, printing francs and buying US equities, the end game is someone debases their currency. The first one to cheat wins, right? I think of all the US states right now I don't think the US is going to be the first to cheat and win. Like they have too much invested in the dollar to do that. So we're going to get caught with our pants down, which means that the states themselves have to protect themselves by using, vehicles like the Permanent Mineral Trust Fund in Wyoming to buy as much Bitcoin as they can right now. Like it's the only option, I think. Thinking about all the different sovereigns and how they might take on a Bitcoin standard. I think that's basically it. The states themselves here are going to have to buy Bitcoin.
What is the difficulty in them doing it? Is there like a regulatory thing? Is there something blocking them? Or is it just like us? When you first hear about Bitcoin, I'm not going to buy it with real money.
Yeah, it's basically that.
It's too expensive.
Most of them have the ability to do this, right? Like, so you have the electeds, you have the governor and the treasurer and, all this. And, vaguely this is under, or not vaguely, literally this is under the office of the treasurer, the state treasurer, right? And they're allowed to invest in a lot of things. They invest in private equity and VC deals. They invest in private companies all the time, right? So if they wanted to, they have the legislative approval to buy Bitcoin if they wanted to. It's just, it's a scary proposition to them right now.